Hey guys, welcome to the Trap Chat. This is where I mainly find some relevant news happening in the world of football and just chat about it. So today we're going to be talking about Liverpool, and more specifically Gary Nevilles' comment on how Liverpool should, quote unquote, go out of the Champions League against Bayern Munich and focus solely on the Premier League. I'll read the quote of what he actually said. Now these are some pretty heavy comments. He's come out and said, "I always thought that if Liverpool could win the league this season, then they need a clean fixture list. I'm going to say it, go out against Bayern Munich." That sounds like madness. Honestly, I don't believe he's actually come out and said that. Some pretty heavy comments. He then goes on and says, "Of course you never play to lose a game, but it will be in Liverpool's favour if they have a clean run as they can get everyone fresh. City have got a couple of FA games where Liverpool could go 5 or 6 points in front. That's tough to pull back in the closing weeks. This title race is still 50-50. Now, as I said, I don't believe he's actually come out and said this. How does he actually expect a big team like Liverpool to go out and lose a game on purpose, especially a Champions League game? Now, I was referring to the game Liverpool vs Bayern Munich in the Champions League second leg, where it's currently 0-0 and Liverpool have to play in Munich away. Now, some of those comments are madness, but there is actually some part of truth to them. If you look at it, if Liverpool were to be knocked out of the Champions League against Munich, they'll have far less games to compete in than Manchester City, their main competitors for the title. Liverpool are out of the FA Cup, they'd be out of the Champions League, and there's only 9 games to go in the Premier League, whereas City would still be in the Champions League and still be competing in the FA Cup. City are only 1 point ahead in the Premier League, and I said there's 9 games left. Liverpool are still in this, they're both in it. This poses a question: should Liverpool just solely focus on the Premier League, get knocked out of the Champions League? Should Liverpool rest their players, not necessarily lose the game on purpose, but rest their players so they would have a less chance of winning the game against Munich, which means they only have 9 games to play in the Premier League. Their players can rest and they can really compete with City for the title. Now, I do get where everyone's coming from. Liverpool last won the title in the 1989-1990 season. That is 29 years ago, nearly 30 years ago. And they last won the Champions League in the 2004-2005 season. So I do understand why a lot of people are saying just solely focus on the Premier League, forget the Champions League to a certain extent. If there was a choice between the two, the Premier League and the Champions League, everyone would be leaning towards the Premier League for Liverpool to go for. It has been 29 years since they last won it. There just seems to be more of an aura around winning the Premier League now. It's been so long, more prestige to winning the title, be the best in England. For Liverpool, that is. I mean, obviously the Champions League is the biggest competition in Europe, but Liverpool just haven't won for so long that they need to win the Premier League. And if that's what they wanted to do, it would make sense to rest the players in the Champions League, get knocked out of the Champions League. The players don't have much games to play, they can play all their games in the Premier League. Really give it to City, And there's argument that playing less games would help them win the Premier League. Also, the way Liverpool play high energy football, this would drain so much energy and consume their energy that they'd probably need to rest players to focus on the league, win all their remaining games. So is this really what Liverpool fans actually want, to win the Premier League over the Champions League? Because doing it this way might actually help them achieve that. Getting knocked out of the Champions League, they'll have less games to play than City, they'll have a big advantage over City. City will still be in the Champions League and the FA Cup. All the players will have more in their legs, don't really need to rest anyone. And then again, they're only 1 point behind City. They've come too far to let this slip. Pun intended. So yeah, I get it. They want to win the Premier League desperately. They are obsessed with it, and getting knocked out of the Champions League makes sense for them to have more an advantage over City in the Premier League. Now, if you flip over the other side of the coin, where Liverpool are competing in both the Premier League and the Champions League, and Jurgen Klopps said it best here. He said, "Thank God we don't have to make this decision." And that's so true, guys. Liverpool don't have to pick a trophy out of the Champions League and the Premier League. They're competing in both, and they're strong competitors for both. They have a chance to win both of these two big cups. Look at last year, they made the final last year. They were so close to winning it. What makes you think they won't win again this year? They do have the potential to win it both. They've signed so many new players. They've upgraded their squad. And honestly, they're one of the best clubs in the world right now. And this is why I just don't think these world-class players playing for Liverpool would even think about losing on purpose or not wanting to play the game to get rested against Munich. This is the biggest competition in football, really, in European football, and they want to play this game and win it. They want to win the Champions League. So I think they're going to go out there and give it their all. And making the final last year will give them the fuel to really think that they can win it in their heads. They know that they can win it, especially with their upgraded squad. New goalkeeper, new players. The team is a lot better than last year. So they have a great chance out of everyone to actually go ahead and win the Champions League. But I know it's not a question about choice, what they want to choose, but it's really a question about balance. Can they find a balance and win both of these titles? That's why everyone wants them to be rested in the Champions League so they can find that strength to win the Premier League. Can they find that balance? I'm going to say yes, they can. Of course they can. There's really two ways to look at it. They can either rest their players, get knocked out by Munich, going in there thinking they're going to lose, out of the Champions League, play these 9 games in the Premier League, go ahead and win them all and win the Premier League because all their big players are rested and there's really no obstacles, whereas City really do have more games to play. Or they could stay in the Champions League, play their big players, go all the way to win this thing. And the other way to look at it is that when you're in form, when a team's winning and in form, beating the best teams in the world, mind you, in the Champions League, they will just have this mentality to go ahead and keep on winning, even in the Premier League. So it could really work either ways. It's kind of like how the big teams in the Bundesliga and PSG in the French league don't have that competition to really test them against Champions League opposition. It's kind of the same thing, you know. They're playing these big games in the Champions League, getting that winning mentality to help them win all these games in the Premier League. And they do have a good squad. They do have the depth to win this thing, to win both of them, in case they do need to rest players here and there for both competitions. You know, Liverpool could go up big in the first leg of the next round in the Champions League, and they can rest a few players in the second leg, you know. So I do personally think it's highly possible. But now going back to Neville's quotes of if they should go out to Munich, look, it's 0-0, and I personally think they have a great chance of winning this against Munich, even away. I do think they will win this game. And honestly, I don't think it was in anyone's mind to go out to Munich, Klopp all the players, and purposely rest players so they can focus on the Premier League. And nor should it be. With a team this big and this good, it would be kind of a disgrace if that's how they were thinking. They should go out there and win every trophy that they're competing in. So pretty stupid comments there overall from Gary Neville, the Valencia coach legend. But I do see where he's kind of coming from, but I do not agree with him at all. Liverpool are in both competitions. They have the strength to go on and win them both. I honestly think they can win the Premier League and will. They just have 9 games to go. Let's see if they can do it. But most importantly, linesmen, what do you guys think? Do you think Liverpool should focus solely on the Premier League? Comment down below. Let me know if you think Liverpool can go all the way in both Champions League and Premier League. Also, like the video, guys, if you enjoyed it. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There'll be plenty more videos to come. I'll see you guys next time.